All right. Thank you, James, again for this topic. Jenny, I'm back. You've never been gone. What are you talking about? Once more, hopefully, to pick your splendid brain. Question. When we die and go to the afterlife, do we take along the baggage of our mortal lives, the memories, the virtues, the faults, the loves and hates, the truths and lies, the joys and regrets, or do we begin our supernatural adventure with a clean slate? Then again, do we perhaps enter a state of oblivion similar to the one we were in before we were born? Okay, so that's a great question, and my favorite thing to do in my mission with my energy is release suspended souls, and I get to hear so many crazy stories, not crazy, but so many stories that are really touching. So from what I've seen and from my experience, this is from my experience. What happens is in that you get like a time to really recollect all of your the situations or things that you lived with in this life in particular, and you get that time to really just purge. So if you have a lot of negativity that you've generated, when your soul leaves your body, unfortunately, you're taking that negativity with you. So energy is unfortunately keeping a space in your physical body while you're here in this plane and in this world and earth. But when negativity clings to you, it doesn't only cling to your physical body, but it actually also taints your energy and your soul. So everything is energy, right? So it's almost like you have your soul in your sphere. And like I called it yesterday, I think I called it like black taints of ink or something. That's negativity. So imagine that you've been splattered through life with little drops of splashes, just like water, right? And if you've never cleansed that, that's something that you will unfortunately take with you. It really depends on how strong the energy is. Like, for example, if you've lived a life of, let's say you've had some negativity, but it hasn't been like crazy negativity, usually when you pass to the afterlife, it'll be a really, really short process for you to actually just go and rest in peace. So there is that, I guess you could say, that default cleansing process that happens when you do go through that white light or that tunnel, whatever you want to call it. So yes, but if you do have strong negativity that's been attached to you that you haven't been able to let go of, and you pass away with that negativity, it is going to follow you after. I'm not saying that it's going to be there forever. I'm just saying that it's not going to make your process to reaching that precious place of restness easy, right? Because it's almost like a parasite. It's like, okay, well, you've made me part of your life. Don't think you could get rid of me so easily. That's why people that generate negativity in this physical life, it takes such a longer time and a more working time, let's say, for you to actually cleanse that energy off of you. So if you are in that stage where you have a lot of negativity and unfortunately for whatever reason you do pass away, sorry, well, let me not say unfortunately, because passing away and dying isn't really a bad thing. It's a reset, okay? It's just, it will become a bad thing for you if you're one of those negative people, because unfortunately for you to have a place in what people call heaven, which the way that I've seen it is it's just the ether. There's a lot of movies actually that really, really, really interpret what it looks like spot on. It's really just like an empty space of peace and white and emptiness, but it's not like an emptiness that you feel empty. On the contrary, it's unlimited, it's an unlimited space, but you feel so fulfilled by being there. And you don't have time, you don't have I'm not going to say you don't have worries, because unfortunately, believe it or not, your past ones do have worries if they're still trying to guide you and help you out. They worry for you. That's why it's so important. I always say this, that if you do have somebody that has passed away, to mourn correctly and take your time, but at the same time, keep in mind that the longer you make this mourning, the longer you're making it for them to go through that process of purging and really just be at peace. Okay. So, yes, emotions are also energy. Emotions are also part of your soul. So, you do have emotions when you pass away, by the way. I remember my dad, when he passed away, the first thing that he said was, "Oh my God, this feels so weird." And it was so weird, like hearing him. I mean, I was not expecting that, like at all. I'm used to talking to, like they say, dead people, and I'm used to talking to souls that I've helped. But for it to be somebody so close to me, it was like, what? So it was a little bit, I was freaked out at the beginning, but it was interesting to just, okay, like let me sink this in and get used to this for a while. And it wasn't like forever. It's just, it was for a couple of days. And apparently, from his experience, and I think this is what happens to everybody, the first couple of days, which for us is days, but for them, it's so different because there's really no time and space. It's just a situation of like a Pandora box where it's, let's say you leave your body and then you have to process. You don't have a mind, but remember that your soul has a conscience. So what gives your mind and your brain the spark for it to be alive is your energy. Once there's no energy in your body, you just, why do you think Frankenstein and like people that try to cloning and stuff like that, they, at the beginning, they always just try to put some electricity shots in it because it's like, we know we need electricity. We know we need some energy for the body to move and have life. But what gives a life is either a soul or an entity. So people that have been, by the way, and this exists, there are clones in our world. People that are clones normally are created through entities that are not positive. So it's a space, that the body is a space. I don't want to lose the topic here, but your body is a space and it will have life as long as there's something conscious in it. Okay, it could be a soul, which is pure and the reason why we have bodies to begin with, or it could be something totally fabricated and just an entity that's wandering around that they're just summoning into the body. That can also happen. So anyway, so the first step really is getting used to the fact that you no longer have a body. And I remember him making me feel that, he would go like this and he would have no arms. He was like, it just feels so weird. Like, like I don't feel pain. I feel so light, so refreshed, and for everybody, I think it's different in the sense of what you have to process in the sense of purging. So if you have a lot of negativity, you're still going to go through that phase of like, oh my God, I feel light. I feel like I don't have a body. And if you've ever had an out of body experience, that's actually exactly what it feels like. You feel like you're floating, okay? Like you have no weight, no dimension, it's just not dimension, sorry, dimension. Yeah. No mass, that's what I meant. So even though you do occupy space still, but we don't see it physically. So after you get used to that process, it's like, okay, well now where are you? You know how people say that when they die, you either smile or you're very afraid, like depending on the illness that the person has. And sometimes people pass away with a smile on their face and others pass away with a frightened look on their face. It's because you open your perceptive side, you open your, let's say, that third eye, that spiritual side, and you see what's surrounding you. So the closer you get to that ethereal moment, the more of a perception and the more awake you are to really see what it is that's around you. Why? Because you're soon to be in that same type of process and in that same dimension. So you're going to see dead people around you. It might be, and if you're about to pass away, and you're a good person, you're going to be happy to see your loved ones. Yes, you do see your loved ones, and they'll be there to wait for you in the moment that this happens. Or if you've been a really nasty person, well, all that negativity that you have inside of you, unfortunately, it's just going to attract negative people around you. But it doesn't mean that the good ones aren't there either. They're going to be there. They're not going to be able to get to you. So it's almost like you're going to have this barrier around you of darkness that, however, much of an intention those loved ones have of getting you to be with them and unite with them, it's going to be almost impossible. Again, this really depends on how deep and how dark your energy is. So that's why I always say it's so important to cleanse, and it's so important to get to that. It's never too late to learn. It's always the right time, whatever, however old you are. It's always the right time to go through that process of not resentment, sorry, repent. And I know it sounds almost kind of biblical, but it's so important. That process of regretting things that maybe you've done to hurt yourself or hurt others, it's probably one of the most significant processes that you could do for yourself to really get back to that inner child that you have, and just saying, I'm sorry that I didn't keep you pure. I'm sorry that I tainted you. I'm sorry that I hurt you. And that doesn't mean that you don't appreciate or that you haven't learned from your mistakes. It's a process. First you learn from your mistakes, that you appreciate those situations that have made you the person you are today. But then you have to go through the process of really just saying, I'm sorry to yourself after you have covered anybody else that you've hurt in your life.